A lot of people believe buy-in's optional, and buy-in's a verb. Like, I need to buy in. Welcome to this episode of Life's Messy, Live Happy. I'm Cy Wakeman. I'm a drama researcher and a New York Times bestselling author. I am out on the road a lot, giving keynotes and trainings to organizations around the world. And I often get asked, Cy, how do I get somebody to buy in? Basically, how do I deal with resistors? I firmly believe that buy-in isn't optional. Now, I don't run dictatorships, but the least you can do when I'm paying you is to give me your buy-in. Buy-in is a verb. It's something that people have to give first as their commitment into the workplace before any of us can get anything done. Let's say I have somebody who just isn't buying into our new strategy. They are opinionated, they're talking a lot about why it won't work and why we shouldn't have to and that they don't agree with it. And folks, the decision's been made. Strategy is set far beyond our particular role in the company. So here's what I would often do. I would meet with them and I would ask them, what's your plan to get on board with this strategy? Like, what's your plan to fall madly in love and execute with everything you got on this strategy? And often they would look at me puzzled and say, I have no intention of doing that. I don't agree with it. And then I would say, gosh, okay, then what is your plan to transition outside the company? And they'd usually be pretty shocked. They'd say, I'm not going anywhere. And that's where I would hope to bring some clarity for them. I would say, it seems to me that the issue here is that you believe there's this third option. This third option, I can stay in hate, I can stay in sabotage, I can stay in resist. But folks, there isn't a third option. Buy-in's not optional. You can stay in joy or you can leave in peace. Stay in joy or go in peace. But there's no third option. This is an important concept that leaders need to understand. Stop working hard for people's buy-in. The choice is theirs. Present them with the options and be willing, with a lot of loving kindness and neutrality, to follow through. If they want to go, help them go in peace. If they want to stay, then they need to be on board and working out of a place of happiness and joy. Today's question comes from Tanya R. Tanya asks, what do you do when a rockstar employee is also high drama? Tanya, here's what you do first. Stop calling them a rockstar employee. If someone's high in drama, they simply aren't a rock star. They are someone who may perform and produce at some significant levels, but they're doing it at an incredibly high price. See, most of us are doing really poor math when we are rating our people, when we're looking at what value they actually provide. And that poor math keeps us emotionally blackmailed and locked in to some situations where people may be selling record-breaking levels, but the price of their sales is perhaps something the company can't afford. Now, when I wrote Reality-Based Rules of the Workplace, this book, Tanya, get this book. When I wrote this book, I featured a formula, a value equation, where I was able to help people move beyond overvaluing technical skills or overvaluing productivity and undervaluing drama and emotional expensiveness to putting it all in the same equation. So I'm calling to blow up performance management and start measuring the value of your people. And trust me, rock stars aren't just good performers. Rock stars are people that can perform, that stay relevant and ready for what's next, and do it in a way that's low drama. So Tanya, stop calling this person a rock star, do some better math, and you may just find that your average employees that are low drama ultimately add more value to your organization than these so-called rock stars. And that, my friends, may free you up to put your team together with low maintenance, high performing, enjoyable people. Good luck. Welcome to the Roundtable. For this show, I have Robin Friedel and Ralph Kellogg Vice President of HR and Organizational Development Consultant at Centrist Federal Credit Union. And we've worked together, I think, 4 or 5 years now, or even longer than that.
It's been a while.
And what we're doing in the roundtables, we're having just discussions about ways in which reality-based leadership, the philosophy, has been helpful in your organization. And we all know everybody loves it, but we're looking for specific examples of how you've really been able to apply it in the workplace. So I know that you've used it in many, many ways, but do you have some favorite stories?
So I think one of the best things that we've seen in our workplace is we had individuals that we would call them lifers. They had been there for a while. We'd gone through many cultural iterations, and that push and pull of bringing people along. We would have some folks who would do the somebody's done somebody wrong song in their head, and they wouldn't take necessarily commitment or accountability for what they were doing.
Because it was always blaming everybody else. I had to do it. I had no other choice. I'm helpless. They're a victim. Right. There are no new stories, you guys. The only story of the world is I am a victim, I am helpless, there is a villain, and I have no control over my behavior.
Absolutely. And we had some folks in our culture, and what we found was that RBL gave us permission to begin entering into those conversations with people and say, hey, listen, nothing personal, nothing against you as a human being, but this is what we need you to do. We need you to be 100% committed. We need you to get on board with where we're going and what we're doing. And if not, no harm, no foul. We need to part company and go our separate ways.
Which is an amazing conversation, because you guys are in an incredibly competitive market, and you really promise to your members, like, we will deliver above and beyond.
Yes.
And you've got these people just hanging out. There's just no way you can fulfill your brand promise if you've got people just kind of half-heartedly there.
Absolutely. And so Robin is in charge of our onboarding program, and she introduces RBL concepts at the beginning of the employment relationship. And she says, to them pretty directly, I don't want to speak for her, but she says pretty directly to them, if you don't adhere to our member service, if you don't take accountability and ownership for your actions, if you're not someone who takes pride of ownership and realizes there's always something that you can do and you can own, you're going to get very uncomfortable here very quickly and probably find this isn't the place for you.
I love this, because a lot of people say that stuff, but you guys live this stuff. You are the one out, where most companies, many companies, the one out is the positive one. And the one out for you guys is somebody who's blaming or venting or how do people respond to that? I mean, they're new hires, so hopefully you hired the right folks.
Yes, I think we do a really great job of really looking for not just can I do the technical aspect of the job, but do we have the right attitude and the right mindset of coming in and having member service be first. I would also add on to Ralph's comments, we've got better about focusing in on who do we want to listen to the feedback from. Higher accountable employees versus the low accountable employees.
When we first did the engagement survey, we were overwhelmed, because with the tool, you can open the floodgates and you can get everyone's comments in, and they were overwhelming to us. But with the accountability being mirrored in with the engagement piece, we turned up the accountability, turned down the low accountability, and we said, this is what we want to listen to.
What we're going to listen to.
This is where we're going to focus our time, our energy, and our attention. And what's great is now our senior leadership will say, when we're having discussions about people or what's going on organizationally, they'll say, they're not part of our high accountable group. So do we really care what they're saying?
This is spectacular, because we talk about the average person spends 2.5 hours a day in drama, but I don't talk a lot about how much leaders spend dealing with drama and how you can conserve those resources and say, I'm not going to put energy into somebody who is in a state of low accountability. And what's fabulous about that is you start feeding the right people and rewarding the right people and listening to the right people, because it is not about trying to include everyone. We're not talking diversity and inclusivity. That's based on just the incredible differences you bring to the workplace. But one difference we won't tolerate is differences in accountability levels. A lot of people believe buy-in's optional, and buy-in's a verb. Like, I need to buy in. And and align with the organization. And too many organizations apologize. They like beg people and bargain with them. Will you please join up? What can I do to get you to feel better about this?
And you're spending so much time trying to drag them along rather than this is the way that it's going to be. We want you to buy in wholeheartedly. Otherwise, again, you will stick out like a sore thumb because you are back here bitching, moaning, and whining, the BMWing.
Exactly.
And the rest of us are moving forward with the organization and helping it to be successful.
We use the lingo. We've gone to each other. I go to my team for coaching. They'll come to me for coaching. So it's not just the employee going to the manager kind of thing, but we'll say, I know I'm being emotionally expensive. Just let me say this and then I'll stop and I'll move on. Or I know that I'm doing BMW. I don't want you to fix it. I don't want you to do anything. I just need 5 seconds. And then we hold ourselves accountable. After we're finished venting, we move on. We do it.
Boundaries, ownership. I just come and and what's cool about colleagues is what they're doing is just holding space for you to self-reflect instead of colluding and sympathizing. The workplace just gets more and more effortless, doesn't it? I mean, people say like, so what's different in companies that have used your work for 4 to 5 years? And I'm like, it's this no ego thing. It just gets effortless. Like when I first talked to people, it was like they're swimming through mud. And then after they use this for 3 to 4 to 5 years, it's like they're walking through air. You know, I tell people, save all the energy you'd put on somebody in what we call resistance or unwillingness, and really if you took the same amount of energy you put into your low accountables and put it into your high accountables, you would blow your results off the charts. So you guys have increased engagement, like 27%. You're increasing accountability. You're not changing benefits. You're not buying people's love. You're not doing any of that typical stuff, which, I mean, you guys are kind of the poster child for one of our early adopters. And I can't say enough about how courageous you were that you figured out, you're like, this philosophy makes sense.
I'm living proof. It works. There's a little bit of pain point and a little bit of learning curve, but it is phenomenal.
But the rewards are worth
absolutely.
it.
The rewards are worth it. I love it.
Yeah.
It's the drama.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you for tuning in. I hope that I gave you some hope that you can create a drama-free workplace. Just take some of the lessons that Ralph and Robin shared that they've implemented in their workplace and ensure that you are making it clear that buy-in is not optional. In fact, there isn't this third option. And I want you to do better math. Stop calling rock stars when they're high drama. Remember, life's messy, live happy.